Family traditions of generosity sometimes take unexpected turns. When the sons decided to give their beloved mother an expensive gift, John was asked to share equally in the noble impulse. "Darling, my brothers and I have decided to chip in 500,000 each for a car for mother." "Come on, bring your money," the husband declared, unaware that his wife had already made her own decision regarding the family budget. Good day, dear listeners. This is Andre Belli, and I'm pleased to welcome you to the channel Revelations of Daughters-in-Law. I present to you a new, interesting story. Enjoy listening. Daria was sitting in the kitchen, finishing her cold tea, when Maxim burst into the apartment. Her husband's face lit up with a special joy, as if he'd just won the lottery. A familiar figure loomed behind him. His younger brother Igor. He nodded at Daria and walked into the living room. "Dar, I have great news." Maxim plopped down on the chair opposite his wife and took her hands in his. "We finally decided to make Mom happy. Can you imagine, she's been dreaming of a car her whole life, and we kept putting it off." Daria was wary. Whenever the conversation turned to her mother-in-law, Ludmila Viktorovna, nothing good usually followed. Over 3 years of marriage, she'd realized that every initiative involving her husband's mother resulted in new expenses and problems. "What have you come up with?" she asked cautiously. "Igor, Oleg, and I decided to chip in for a car for Mom. 500 each. 000 each." Oleg had already agreed, and so had Igor. All that remained was to find a good car, and Mom would be happy. Daria looked at her husband silently. Oleg, the eldest brother, worked for a large IT company and could indeed afford such expenses. Igor had recently sold his share in a small business, but he and Maxim simply didn't have that kind of money. "Max, where did we get 500,000? She asked quietly. "You do remember, right? We're saving for a down payment on a mortgage." Maxim waved his hand, as if swatting away a pesky fly. "Daria, don't skimp. Mom spent her whole life on us, and we can't buy her a car." Oleg's right. We're grown men now. We should be taking care of our parents. But we saved this money for 2 years. Daria's voice was shaking. "We wanted our own apartment, remember, to give the kids a proper room. The kids can wait, and Mom's already 65. How much longer will she have to travel?" Maxim was starting to get irritated. "And anyway, this is out of the question. I already gave my word to my brothers." Igor's voice came from the living room. "Maxim, Oleg and I were discussing whether we should get a Hyundai Solaris. It's a reliable car, and will be right around the 1.5 million mark." Daria felt a pang of resentment swell inside her. So, they'd already decided on everything, picked out a car, and no one cared about her opinion. As if she weren't his wife, but just a wallet from which he could take money on demand. "Max, let's at least discuss this normally," she tried. "Maybe we can buy something simpler or pay in installments." "Darling, my brothers and I decided to chip in 500,000 each for a car for Mom." "Come on, bring your money," Maxim snapped, his tone brooking no argument. Daria looked at her husband and saw a stranger. The gentle, understanding Maxim she'd once fallen in love with seemed to have been replaced. Sitting before her was a spoiled mama's boy, accustomed to getting everything he wanted on demand. "Okay," she said quietly. "I'll think about it." The next day, Daria took the day off and went downtown. The bank confirmed that their joint account did indeed contain 520,000 rubles. The money she and Maxim had saved for an apartment, living on instant noodles and scrimping on everything. She sat in the bank chair for a long time, staring at the billing statement. Then she pulled out her phone and dialed a familiar number. "Hello, Lena, this is Daria. Remember how you told me about the orphanage where you help from work? And they accept donations?" Her friend perked up and started telling her about Nadezhda's house. An orphanage for orphans with special needs. They were just short of money for new rehabilitation equipment. "Daria, it's wonderful that you want to help, but it requires a significant amount, about 500,000 for exercise equipment and educational games." "So, that's exactly what I'll transfer," Daria said firmly. At the orphanage, she was welcomed like family. The director, an elderly woman with kind eyes, told us about their charges: children abandoned by their parents after learning their diagnoses. Daria saw little ones struggling to talk and walk, and teenagers dreaming of simple human joys. Your donation will help us purchase special exercise equipment, the director explained. You see, Vajya is using an old exercise bike, but the new models help develop coordination much better. Daria nodded and signed the money transfer documents. 500,000 rubles went to the orphanage's account. Her heart felt light and calm for the first time in many months. She returned home in the evening. Maxim was already sitting at the computer, researching car dealerships online. "Ah, Daria's here," he said happily. "I've already found out everything. We're going to look at cars tomorrow. The money is ready to be transferred." "Maxim, we need to talk," she said, taking off her jacket. "What should we talk about?" "Everything's already been decided. Mom will be delighted. Can you imagine how jealous the neighbors will be? Not every grandmother's sons buy a car like that. I've already spent the money." Maxim tore his eyes away from the screen and stared at his wife. "What do you mean, spent it on what?" "Donated it to an orphanage. The children needed rehabilitation equipment." Silence fell. Maxim slowly rose from his chair. His face began to soften. "Are you crazy? What orphanage? What are you doing?" "The same thing as you. Spending family money without your wife's consent," Daria answered calmly. "That's completely different. Mom is family. And you gave 500,000 to some orphanage. These kids need the money more than your mom. New car. She managed just fine without one for 65 years. He'll live a while longer." Maxim clutched his head. "Daria, do you understand what you've done? I gave my brothers my word. They've already prepared the money. Let the three of them buy a car. You can find a very nice car for 1.5 million. But we agreed to split the difference equally, so I'll tell them now. The truth, that my wife didn't let you spend our savings." Maxim paced the room like a cornered animal. Then he grabbed the phone and started dialing. "Mom, it's me. We have a problem, Daria." His voice trembled with rage. "She gave our money to the orphanage." "Yes, the same money we were saving for your car." Daria heard the hysteria on the other end of the line. Ludmila Viktorovna was screaming so loudly it was audible even without speakerphone. "Mom, calm down, we'll figure something out. Maybe we should take out a loan." "What loan?" Daria intervened. "Max, we're planning a mortgage. Our credit history needs to be clean." "Shut up," her husband barked. "The whole family is suffering because of you." The next day, Ludmila Viktorovna herself dropped by. Her mother-in-law was in a fighting mood, wearing makeup. In her best suit, carrying a handbag slung over her shoulder like a weapon. "Where is this benefactor?" she asked from the doorway. Daria was just feeding the children breakfast. 7-year-old Nastia and 5-year-old Dimka. The little ones clung to their mother, timidly, sensing the tension. "Ludmila Viktorovna, hello," Daria greeted reservedly. "What's the matter?" "Hello." The mother-in-law walked into the kitchen and slammed her bag on the table. "What are you doing? You gave my money to some orphanage." "It wasn't your money. It was Maxim and me saving." "Maxim is my son. So his money is my money. And who are you? You filthy slut." Nastia started whining. Dimka hid under the table. Daria hugged her daughter and shook her head. "Ludmila Viktorovna, don't yell in front of the children. Don't tell me what to do. I'm the boss in this family. I raised my sons all my lives, and now some upstart is telling me what to do." "Mom, calm down," Maxim interjected, appearing in the kitchen doorway. "We'll all figure out what to decide. Let that idiot return the money." "Ludmila Viktorovna, the money has already been spent on rehabilitation equipment. They can't be returned." The mother-in-law turned devout. She came right up to Daria and jabbed her finger into her chest. "Listen to me carefully, you stole my car. Because of you, I was left without a gift from my sons. No one stole anything. I simply spent our family money. That's right, family money. And the family is me, Maxim, and his brothers, and you're nothing, just a temporary companion. Daria felt rage boiling inside her. For 3 years, she'd endured her mother-in-law's nagging. Her constant visits, her advice on raising children and running the household. For 3 years, she'd listened to her tell her she was a bad wife and mother. But now her patience had run out. "Ludmila Viktorovna," she said evenly, "it's time for you to go home. How are you talking to me, Maxim? Do you hear how your wife talks to her mother?" "Daria, apologize to your mother," Maxim muttered. "For what?" "For helping sick children. For spending the family money without my permission. Were you planning to spend it without my permission too? That's a different matter. Mama Kostakuma is sacred." Ludmila Viktorovna smiled triumphantly and pointed her finger at Daria again. "You see, my son protects me, and you're nothing to him. A random woman who gave birth to children." Something clicked in her head. She abruptly pushed the crying Nastya away from her and turned to her mother-in-law. "You know what, Ludmila Viktorovna? Go home right now and don't come here again. Why are you kicking me out of my son's house?" "I'm kicking me out of my house," Maxim, the mother-in-law, barked. "You're going to let this happen?" Maxim shook his head in confusion, unsure of whom to support. Meanwhile, Daria had already opened the front door and was standing next to it, waiting. "Maxim, if your mother doesn't leave now, I'll leave with the children." "Daria, no ultimatums." "This isn't an ultimatum, it's a statement of fact." Ludmila Viktorovna grabbed her purse and headed for the exit, but stopped right at the door and turned around. Her face was contorted with anger. "You'll regret this, you bitch," she hissed. "You'll be miserable your whole life. Let everything come back to haunt you. Let your children get sick. Let your husband leave you. Curse you." The door slammed. Daria leaned her back against it and closed her eyes. The children were crying. Maxim was swearing, and she suddenly felt a strange relief. The next few days were filled with tension in the house. Maxim didn't speak to his wife, demonstratively sleeping on the couch. Her brothers called and demanded an explanation. Ludmila Viktorovna called every half hour, throwing tantrums. "Daria, how much longer can this go on?" Maxim finally pleaded. Mom's beside herself. "My brothers think I'm a loser, and you're acting like nothing's wrong. What am I supposed to do? Cry and mourn? You have to fix the situation, find the money, take out a loan, whatever." "Maxim, I won't take out a loan for a car for your mother. Then our marriage is in jeopardy." Daria looked at her husband carefully. For the first time in 7 years, she saw his true colors. A weak, driven mama's boy who puts his mother's wishes above the interests of his own family. "You know what, Max? If you're willing to destroy your family over your mother's car, then maybe you really should reconsider." She gathered the children and went to her parents' house. Their father met them at the door, hugged his grandchildren, and silently helped them carry their things in. Their mother fed everyone dinner and put the children to bed. "What happened, daughter?" she asked quietly when they were alone in the kitchen. Daria told the whole story. Her parents listened silently, only exchanging glances occasionally. "You did the right thing," said the father. She helped the children and Daria sobbed. "What kind of family is this if the husband doesn't support his wife?" The mother shook her head. "Stay with us until you figure it out." A week later, Maxim came to apologize. He looked disheveled and miserable. "Daria, forgive me, I understand everything. Mom went too far, and I was a fool." "And what did you realize? That family is you and me and the kids, not Mom and my brothers. And the car. Forget about the car. Let Mom take the bus." Daria looked closely at her husband. She wanted to believe he'd truly changed, but too many resentments had built up. "Maxim, I need time to think. As much time as you want, just come home. The kids are missing me, I'm going crazy without you." They returned home, but the relationship was slow to recover. Maxim tried, bringing flowers, helping with the kids, but Daria felt the trust had been shattered. And a month later, something unexpected happened. The orphanage director called. "Daria Sergeevna, I have incredible news for you. Journalists came to us, did a story about our center, and when they learned about your donation, they decided to organize a charity event. What kind of event? The TV channel had announced a fundraiser for orphanages across the country. And your story became an inspiration. People started donating money. Can you imagine? Daria couldn't believe her ears. It turns out her act inspired hundreds of others to help orphans. And that's not all, the director continued. A local businessman approached us, and he wants to take over our center and fund the purchase of equipment on an ongoing basis. The story aired a week later. Daria saw familiar faces of children. She heard words of gratitude from the teachers she helped. They called her a guardian angel and an example of a true human being. Maxim watched the program silently, then hugged his wife. "Forgive me," he whispered. "You're a real person and I was selfish." And a month later, a true miracle occurred. An elderly woman she didn't know, elegant and with kind eyes, came to see Daria at work. "Daria Sergeevna, my name is Elena Konstantinovna Belorukova. I saw the story about your donation to the orphanage. Nice to meet you. What are you interested in?" "I want to establish a foundation to help orphanages, and I need someone to lead it, someone with an open heart and the right principles." Daria couldn't believe her ears. Elena Konstantinovna turned out to be the widow of a prominent businessman who had left her a significant fortune. She wanted to donate part of the money to charity. The salary would be 150,000 rubles a month plus all the foundation's expenses. "Do you agree?" "I need to think about it and consult with my family." "Course, but people like you are rare. You sacrificed your last money for other people's children. That's worth a lot." That evening, Daria told her husband about the proposal. Maxim listened with his mouth open. "Do you understand what this means?" he whispered. "With 1.5 million a year, we can buy an apartment, a car, and pay for the children's education." "Strange," Daria chuckled. "It turns out that to get rich, they had to give away their last money." Working for the foundation turned out to be amazing. Daria visited orphanages, organized aid, and coordinated volunteer work. Life became filled with a meaning she'd never felt before. 6 months later, they were actually able to buy an apartment in a new neighborhood. Maxim completely rethought his priorities and even began helping his wife with her charity work. And what about Lyudmila Viktorovna? Upon learning of her daughter-in-law's new job and salary, she instantly changed her tone. Now she called every day, inquiring about how he was doing, and bragging to the neighbors about her successful daughter-in-law. "Taraka, have you ever thought about giving grandma a car?" she hinted during one of her visits. "Lyudmila Viktorovna, you cursed me. I'm afraid the car might break down because of your curse," Daria answered calmly. "Oh, come on, I was upset I said too much. I love you like my own daughter." "Strange. And I remember you saying I was nothing to you." "Daraka, come on, we're family." But Daria didn't fall for such manipulations anymore. She never bought her mother-in-law's car, but she regularly donated money for children's treatment and the development of orphanages. 3 years passed. Daria's foundation became one of the most well-known in the region. She was invited to join the city council for social issues. Journalists interviewed him, colleagues asked for advice. Maxim had become a loving husband and caring father, genuinely proud of his wife. Lyudmila Viktorovna still rode the bus, but now she told everyone about her successful charity work. And the children from Nadezhda's home received not only modern equipment but also ongoing support. Many of them went to regular schools and some even went to college. Vazhya, the same boy who used the old exercise bike, competed in a Special Olympics for children with special needs 2 years later. He took 3rd place in his category and at the award ceremony said into the microphone, "Thank you, Aunt Daria, for giving us the exercise bikes." Daria sat in the hall and cried with happiness. This was true wealth. Not cars and apartments, but the opportunity to change someone's life for the better. And recently, something else happened that finally put everything into place. Maxim was offered a promotion to another city with a salary of 200,000 rubles. Before, he would have agreed without a second thought, but now he came home and said, Daria, I was offered a great position in Moscow, but I turned it down. Why? Because your work here is more important. You're changing children's lives, and I'm just selling equipment. Which of us is more important to people? At that moment, Daria realized her marriage was truly saved. Her husband has finally become a real man, someone who appreciates the right thing. Ludmila Viktorovna still hints about a car from time to time, but she no longer insists. She's realized that within this quiet daughter-in-law lives an iron will that's best left untested. And Daria wakes up every morning feeling like she's living the right life. The 500,000 rubles spent on the orphanage returned to her as an old woman, in the form of children's love, the respect of her colleagues, a strong family, and a clear conscience. She sometimes thinks about the day she decided to help other people's children instead of buying a car for her mother-in-law. It was a turning point that changed not only her life but the lives of dozens of others. And every time she sees the happy faces of the children at the rehabilitation center, she realizes she made the right choice. The money ran out in a day, but the joy of helping those in need lasts a lifetime.